The 2015 World Championship is quickly approaching, so study up on the international scene with lolesports.com. There you'll find player and team profiles, stats, and VODs from all of the major regions available for your viewing pleasure. All right, now we're going to kick it off round 2 between Team Dignitas and Impulse. You're getting a look at Impulse here as they prep for this second game. With that 1 game buffer, though, gentlemen, how do we expect this to affect the way Impulse approaches game 2?
I think they're going to come out and they're going to be much bloodier in this one, going for fight instead of siege, because when you have that 1 game buffer, you come back with confidence, and if you crush them game 2 with your own style, then the series is practically over at that point.
A common thing that happens when you see those teams reconverge and just talk to each other, okay, what are we doing in the next game? Like, how are they playing? Usually you ask each other, it's like, okay, how's your mid lane matchup going? How's he playing? And then usually it'd be like, he's playing a bit like a bitch. Like, how are we going to do? Like, are we going to do well this time? Or do we need to play more aggressive? And then, like, I think that's what's going to happen, because I think both these teams were disappointed how they played, and they're going to go a lot more aggressive this time around.
What are the conversations like then on the losing side of it, right? So we got, the winning side, you're coming in with a lot of confidence. Dignitas, though, coming out with the loss, a lot of times the fear is the defeatist mentality.
I don't think they're feeling that way, because that last fight they lost, they were the ones initiating that. So it wasn't them on the back foot by any means. They were in the control of the game after the Baron, and then eventually they started losing.
Okay. What about you? Do you think that...
I wouldn't let it chip away at me. I feel like that's one where it's like we could have just picked that a little better.
Right.
Let's not overreach next time. I don't think it's going to hurt them too much.
You mentioned the Tristana. We also talked about the Elise. Do we expect some, pick-wise, what are we looking at?
I don't want to see the Elise again.
Don't want to see Elise?
Not on Rush. I wasn't convinced by it.
Well, the strength of the champion is early tower dives, because you can drop the aggro and harass from afar, but they pick compositions that have no tower dive potential at all. So, like Janet Cog, really not much gank pressure.
Yeah, if they're going to go with like a really aggressive support, then I'd like to see it.
Exactly.
Right, well, we did see the target bans, the Nidalee and the Lee Sin come through. That leaves the Elise, but still the Evelynn too. So we didn't see Evelynn in that game. Maybe that'll come out. And then you mentioned, Zyrene, the Tristana. So let's one quick look over there on Dignitas. Are they just not utilizing that pick well enough? Or are they going with something else this time around?
Yeah, I feel like they weren't utilizing it that game. They have the chance to, once again, go back to the drawing board, use it correctly next time. But if they don't, then I still just want to see a different pick there. Maybe a Sivir so they can start those team fights.
All right, looking for some sharper execution this time around. As we send it over to our casters for the call, CLG's Aframu weighs in on this matchup and says Team Dignitas may be able to pull off a few surprises.
In the season, they would run Jarvan top with Morgana, something along those lines where you just one-shot the backline. That was their whole strategy, get their top laner fed, cam for him, etc. And usually they just do that with one champion and revolve it around safe picks in all the other lanes. So they could definitely pull out some cheese against Tip, especially because Tip doesn't have their original mid laner anymore. So they can't really play off of Gate, I wouldn't think, since he doesn't have that much experience in a full best of 5. Maybe it'll be some falter from them here and there.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really fun to watch for in a best of 5, especially if we get all 5, all the different things the teams end up trying.
He's got to have more confidence after that play.
Yeah.
Game-winning play like that, he's going to feel great headed into game number 2. The other one that I think you can take away from that first game is Helios played a lot better than I thought that he was going to do, especially with Rek'Sai banned. He had a lot bigger impact than I was expecting from him.
All right, well, then people showing up in the quarterfinals. Hadn't seen these teams in 2 weeks, and a lot of players played a lot better than we expected. Here we go, back into the game once again. No Maokai allowed for impact. Once again, no Kalista for Core JJ. It seems like Impulse trying to make sure their dual lane can get out of the laning phase happy and scaling up.
No surprise here either. The Lee Sin and Nidalee bans worked out pretty well last time. Looks like they will target Rush once again.
Well, the only thing is I wonder if they need to burn a ban on Nidalee. It depends how infatuated they were by Rush's Elise, because Helios could always just first pick that away.
Yeah, as of right now, though, Sivir and Alistar both find themselves still available, and that could be fairly scary.
All right, well, there's Alistar gone. Sivir, of course, could be available if you want to play a team fight comp.
The strange thing is, Sivir fell completely through picks and bans last game.
Yep.
True. Doesn't mean that it's not a really important tool for them to use, though.
Yeah, I think you don't ban away these things, take
this.
something else away.
They have to pick this, otherwise I feel like Rush.
Yeah, takes it and wins the game with it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Now the question is it Elise or Evelynn? Because he had I believe, the option of either and chose Elise first pick last time. And if he decides that one's better, Impact doesn't even wait to lock in the Shen. So going to go for that one yet again. Of course, Impulse can take their time to pick their jungler here, so if something else is contested, like the Shen, like this Kog'Maw,
Yeah.
they could be playing the exact same team comp.
They're well on their way to do so, yeah.
Frigg, I think you mentioned it after last game to me. Apollo on Kog'Maw did more physical damage than Core J did, than anyone else in the game, but it's more physical damage than Triss did, and Kog'Maw does a lot of magic damage within his kit as well. It just went to show how punishing Apollo was in that game on Kog'Maw, so it makes sense that they're locking it in early.
Zeke's Harbinger boosts the AP from your Trinity Force also, so
Extra
value.
You get 6 ability
super
power.
duper strong.
Now you do 8.06% of your max health.
Broken,
Whoa!
freak.
It's not even the right number.
damage.
It's like 6.06, but you know what I'm going for. All right, well, as we get ourselves further onto this one through picks and bans. Yeah, Impulse not showing any new looks yet. Of course, they can use Cog as a flex pick the whole way through. Gate, I assume, can play AP Cog, so I wouldn't expect to see another pseudo mid lane or AD carry grab just yet. Dignitas changing the lineup quite a bit, though, and Braum Lucian comes through.
Wow, what an interesting combo here. They do have some poke from Nidalee and anti-poke now with Braum as well. Maybe they want to try and go fight the siege with Siege.
The old school LeBron lane.
Yeah. Lucian Braum also, the combo not often seen, but it does have that very quick stun proc.
Yeah, a lot of innate synergy in that lane. Even though Lucian's early game has been nerfed, Braum's early game has recently been buffed back up. That's one of the reasons we've seen, along with the poke counter, some of his resurgence. And would we see Apollo's first Leona this split? It was one of his big-time supports in the spring. Yeah, these teams want to go in.
So yeah, different look. You're right. He's back on Leona the champion he almost exclusively played back in spring. So okay, not an Enchantress support this time around. Then not going to be opening up the Kog'Maw nearly as much. And also a comp like this doesn't look like an AP Cog type composition. Going in this hard feels weird.
Yeah, it's almost certainly an AD Kog'Maw in my opinion. And they could just slot in Azir if they want to with their last pick. Or an Orianna. Either one of those works.
Yeah. We do get a lot of kill pressure, though, switching to the Leona rather than going with the Janna. So I actually would expect more out of Rush this time around on the Elise. There's a lot more opportunities for him. He can go bottom lane, combo with the Leona. He can still go top lane. Shen can set up a guaranteed cocoon to land. And even though Shen doesn't provide a whole bunch of early game damage, Elise brings plenty herself. Wow. Okay, so they shift the support role up to Gate for the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, it's a little Juggernaut-y, but it also has a tank top laner. So traditionally you'd put the Lulu in the top lane. This one, though, is a little bit lower damage. It's almost like a mid-game power spiking composition right here.
Yeah.
And
mid-game champions.
heavily putting the pressure, onto Apollo in this game.
Well, that's weird, though, because Impulse actually stalled out in the mid-game last time off of a sizable lead. They were up around 2,000 to 3,000 gold in the 20-ish minute mark when they got the first blood and then failed to get much farther. It's weird they put all their eggs in that basket. One
thing I actually do really like about this Lulu pick, though, is if we're looking at the amount of damage that Dignitas can actually throw onto the target, Kassadin, Gnar, I don't know if that's, and Lucian, I don't know if that's enough to break through a Shen and a mid-Lulu shield. Even if Apollo is completely out of position, they might not be able to kill him.
That's a fair point. Yeah, if the damage is not high, and of course Team Dignitas ready to get into this game too here with an interesting comp themselves, and we get to see the Nidalee come out from Helios. We can see if he puts on the carry pants this one. Normally was not so farm heavy, but guys at home, please keep sharing your series predictions. Tweet hashtag DIG win or hashtag TIP win to @LevelEsports Esports over on Twitter. We'll update the fan vote once we are back on the Rift. There's the team comps on your screen. We're getting ourselves ready to get into the game. Game 2, Impulse 1, Game 1. It's time for Dignitas to see if they can fire back. It's best of 5.
Very interesting opening here because Impulse are bringing a lot more playmaking ability with swapping their support over to Leona, but they are losing out on late game damage because they don't have the Azir to rely on as well as the Kog'Maw.
Yeah.
So much weight on Apollo's shoulders.
All right, we'll see if the team comp can work out here. Rush back on the Elise. Analysts just that they weren't completely convinced, but maybe it works out a bit better. Shiphtur, of course, on the cast and set up to do a lot this game, and he says he's got a lot to prove in the playoffs to bring his team beyond.
Well, I've been in the scene for a long time. I'm pretty used to the best of 5 format, especially like You know, all the times I've been in the relegation, I've been at those high-pressure situations. So I wouldn't say I'm nervous, but I think I just, like, I have a lot to prove, I guess, as a player, because I've kind of fallen off the radar as, like, a top mid laner in NA. So playoffs isn't just an opportunity for me to prove that, you know, Dignitas is the top team in NA. It's just an opportunity for me to prove that I'm still a top mid laner in NA as well.
Oh, Core JJ caught out.
And the Braum Q misses as well, but looks like there's not quite enough auto attacks down.
Plenty of time for him to go heal, actually, so that will mean nothing for either team. Both teams with defensive wards set up in the meantime as well during the pip stop.
I do want to speak to Shiphtur's Caston a little bit. Obviously, Caston has been changed as a champion. Just no longer as blatantly overpowered as he was back in Season 3. But it had been one of Shiphtur's best champions by far back then, because when he was on Coast back in the Challenger Series, they won pretty much every game he'd play Caston. He had decent enough lane pressure. Shiphtur's always been really good at not dying in lane, sometimes to his detriment because it gives up CS disadvantages, but his roaming skills on Kassadin were so good that he could almost snowball the majority of games he was in with, and I wonder if he's going to be able to roam this one and help him, and that's pretty much, I feel like, the only way Team Dignitas takes this.
Yeah, I don't think that he is going to be able to, just because Lulu has so much more wave control than Kassadin does early. Gate should be able to take control of this lane, and that means that he should be enabling Rush to make more early game moves as well. Both bottom lanes actually ending up in the bottom lane this time around for standard lane setups, which also could aid Rush in some early moves. Now, the Nidalee Elise matchup is really interesting and definitely depends on which jungler gets the initiative. Either one getting the opener is huge for them. Spear landing or Cocoon landing basically decides the entire skirmish.
And it's much different than the previous matchup, which was Elise versus Echo, because Nidalee's clear speed is somewhat unmatched in the early game. Even though Elise can clear quickly, pre-Runeglaive, I think Nidalee clears faster than Elise. So Rush now a little bit on the back foot as far as clear speed goes, and we'll have to see if Helios can then become the aggressor instead of just playing good defense like he did last game.
So far, so good. Helios is slightly faster on this one. They're going to end their jungle routes on opposite sides of the map. As we talked about, Crumb said, you know, Elise having some gank pressure in her lanes. Well, actually, Lulu and Leona both actually fairly solid in that regard, so we might get to see some of that trademark Rush aggression.
Well, here comes the first jungle invade. Rush going to head down to a bottom lane gank. Highest probability here. Gets in behind them. Remember, the Leona swap was the big change here for Impulse. They want to utilize that CC from the support role.
Ooh, good flash by him. Exhaust still on, though. Goodbye. Nothing else for J to do. And they get the first blood. Goes to Elise. Not a bad target for it. All said and done. First blood, Team Impulse.
Yep, just as we said. Trying to utilize. They made one change in Champion Select.
Yeah, Crumbs also mentioned that these teams are probably going to be a little bit frustrated that they weren't able to get much aggression, maybe playing too passively. You see it from the champion select as well as Adrian's flashing in for the point-blank stun on there. Team Impulse is ready to fight this game, and they're wanting to force numerous fights. I love Adrian on Leona. You can tell he's so experienced with the champion. Hasn't played it in competitive in over 4 months, but it's an example right there of what he can do.
You know, it's funny. We talked about the low ward kill stat from Rush, and he says, I don't need to kill wards. I just go where they aren't. That's exactly what happened. Adrian calls out where the river ward was. He just goes through the red buff, shows up unannounced, gets the kill. If you can do it, then who needs to kill wards?
Meanwhile, Helios did take an extra camp. He was just farming harder. Double Summoner's Bone there for Core JJ on the Lucian, though. And it gets scary for him from here on out. Luckily for him, though, the kill did go over to Rush, so it won't be in his lane immediately. And some extra vision might be able to keep Rush away. Here comes Helios to try and counter game, but not much on the table for him. Let's see if Impulse do go aggressive.
Yeah, I really wonder about the timing of this gank by Helios. Just logically speaking, Apollo hasn't shopped yet. so they know QuarterJ has an item disadvantage. They have wards in the river, so there's no way that Rush is sneaking around the back again. The only way it's a counter gank is if Rush comes through the lane, and it seems unlikely that Impulse would go aggressive.
Oh, barely dodges the skill shot. Still gets stunned up, though. Ignite is on as well. Apollo running for his life.
Oh, Adrian re-engages. No backup on the way, though, and he just takes a lot of damage for it.
From passes setting up. Oh, God, another Q hits Apollo.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they were able to get so much out of that gank, nearly nanning a kill. Apollo really walking up aggressively despite still just sitting on his Dorans and having no jungle backup anywhere. Almost cost him a kill.
Does even out the summoner spells at the very least in the bottom lane. Rush looking for another fight here. Does he step on the trap? Yes, he does. Usually, if I step on a trap like that in an enemy jungle, I start running immediately. Because you never, because he has no vision. The spear could come out of anywhere. He was in human form as well. No spiderlings to block it. But the spear does not land.
Of interesting note, I don't believe the Hunt debuff shows up unless Nidalee was nearby. Granted, she was shown bottom lane, but I think by having the Hunt debuff, he also reaffirms that Helios in bot lane. They're going to stay safe for now. Bit of damage on a core today, but no really big overextension. Of course, again, it was a flashless Kog'Maw with exhaust is up, though, to keep things safe. But Apollo really just needs to back and buy a phase sheet or something. Rushes around. The E comes in. They want KiWiKiD. Goes right back out there. Adrian gets stunned up, takes some damage. There's a penalty. They want this fight after all. Teleport comes in, though. Gamsu is going to arrive. Who goes down first? It is not KiWiKiD. They don't get the damage. They don't get the damage, but there's still time to get to the turret. Impact has the aggro. Gamsu canceled his teleport. Didn't show up after all. I'm not sure he should have canceled.
Yeah,
that would have picked up kills there. Yeah,
that was a very interesting choice right there. They kind of dove really hard. They stick around.
No, Helios! Didn't see that one coming. Cocoon to the death. Impulse just walk away.
Just walk away sometimes. Sometimes you got to walk away. They had no vision in the brushes. Gamsu will be pushing up the top lane, but that was an ill-advised move.
Yeah, Gamsu canceled it all on his own and went back and watched the rewind.
He had flank position too.
Yeah.
Full health, level 7 Gnar. He hadn't shopped, but neither had Shen or Kog'Maw.
He had a bit of Rage Bar building up as well, but doesn't pull the trigger. And Dignitas do go down, giving up kill in the bottom lane.
Very strange.
Maybe some miscommunication.
Yeah. All right, let's try and figure out here if the teleport cancel was because the fact that Team Impulse got so many turret dives on meant that they were pretty strong coming in.
Okay, so Apollo probably would have died. Rush already used his cocoon, and Apollo doesn't have any summoners.
Thing is, I see Core JJ and Helios being completely out of mana. Team Impulse could have just turned back and 1v4'd the Gnar. Maybe they trade kills, but I feel like that teleport actually would have been near certain death. Either way, that's the actual certain death.
Exactly. That's the play that mattered.
And I'm surprised. Yeah, Impulse all at like 1/4 health all stayed in that brush together. And they realized that they weren't really in danger being there. And the overextension by Helios. Yeah, I mean, very smart. That was an aggressive move that paid off there, being in a forward position. So 2-0 in kills and a nearly 2,000 gold lead. Impulse seemingly relying on a strong mid game, and that early game setting up well for it. Gamsu still playing somewhat aggressively up the top side, even though he had some free time up there. We just saw Impact teleport back to the top lane turret to collect the farm, not fall too far behind.
Oh, Apollo level 6 in the bottom lane too. With that CS advantage and the early sheen once again, Core JJ is going to have a really rough time heads up in this lane. And the constant threat of kill pressure from Adrian is huge. Leona also level 6. Oh, and they've got a pink ward there setting up easy avenue for Rush. So bottom lane for Dignitas now has to play really defensively, even when Shen Ultimate is not up.
Shiphtur looking to roam.
And Shadow Dash is already down. There are no escapes left for Impact. Ignite comes in. He's going to go down. A kill goes over to Gamsu. Nicely dove.
There's your fifth Shiphtur roam.
It's incredibly important that roam worked for Shiphtur as well. Rush, though, 1v3 kinda.
Ulti in for KiWiKiD. The stun is dodged by Repel, but still gets hit up by the passive.
Shen's back up. They
Perfect
can go.
ulti by Adrian, and they get one back. It's actually mid lane turret going down to Gate, and now the push keeps going on. Low health on Adrian. Gate finally showing up. Flashes, gets the wild growth. Adrian did not have to flash out though. Miscommunication. Helios will walk away.
Didn't tell Adrian that he was on the way. The fight continues though.
Shen has ulti.
Circle around.
Now Shen is actually alive to use the ulti,
There's the teleport. Does get
again.
canceled again.
but now they can dive because it's a 4v2. That one he should have
even pressed
completed.
the button in the first place, but he's going to cancel right away. Nowhere to go. Helios gets taken out by Gate. Assist goes to the Kog'Maw. Today for certain dead. Tries to get some damage. Does not quite kill off Apollo. It was close, but a double kill for Gate.
Okay, so first teleport cancel, probably a good idea after reviewing.
Agreed.
Second one though,
Bad idea.
would have stopped that dive.
Yeah, most likely a full health Gnar under the turret, even if your other two are low, you can defend that 3v4. But he knew there were 4 people coming down there. The Shen ult was guaranteeing it, and then you could tell they didn't even try to hide under the turret because they knew it was certain death. Now Gate has been able to kind of answer Shiphtur's one roam. We mentioned Shiphtur needing to get the roam. He was already losing in CS. Now, since he didn't even get the kill, Gates, every time he goes back to that lane, he can instantly shove it in, almost no fear of counterattack. It's looking pretty grim for Team Dignitas here.
Again, worth pointing out that mid lane outer turret went down to Gate. The roam by Shiphtur got a kill. His roams around the map were fine, but Gate showed up late to that fight to knock down a turret, get further gold for his team. He's very far ahead now, highest CS in the game as well. And, yeah, Gate and this Lulu, the early game pressure working out, winning lane.
Yeah, and with all this weight on Apollo's shoulders as well, 104, not doing too shabby, second highest CS for him as well. Everything going really well for Impulse in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, even though Apollo did get the kill early on in the game with the gank, if you're running a Juggernaut composition and your bottom lane gets summoner spells and a kill early on in the game, that just sets you up for so much success. Also, when you're considering your Lulu, who needs to do pretty well in this team competition in order to provide the right type of shielding, had what was almost a free lane against Shiphtur's Kassadin.
Yeah.
These things are going very well.
What do you do? What do you do as a brutalizer Lucian against Trinity Force completed Kog'Maw? He activates W and 2 hits and you forces you out of lane.
Yeah, run away.
basically. Your one ult
lane
lands
swap?
on your head and
Yeah.
you gotta run for the hills.
This is what happens at AD carries because BF Sword costs so much money. You just get really bad recalls sometimes. Core's first recall, pickaxe. That's acceptable. So it happens, whatever. His second recall, longsword, and he's like, well, now I'm screwed.
No, his first recall was longsword because he died.
Oh, it was that early?
So he was almost trapped into this build a little bit if he wanted to go that direction.
Well, it is attracting
you're right.
a lot of attention from the junglers, both revisiting the bottom lane, and they should be able to at least clear out pink ward vision in the tri-brush. It's also a little mind game trick that you can have, doubling up pink wards and green wards in the same spot.
Oh, yeah.
If someone clears a pink ward, they rarely think that you have also green warded there. So if you really want vision on a place, drop 2, and people will usually not sweep it as well.
All right. Well, Dragon number 1 goes over to Impulse. Slightly early smite by Rush, but shouldn't be too bad for him. Apollo actually still sitting at 100% kill participation for the series. He's 15 of 15 so far for Team Impulse. Highest, pretty good, in the overall series as a whole.
80 carry picking up pink ward even.
Yeah. Making up for Rush.
Somewhat of a rarity, actually, having 80 carries pick up pink wards. Most 80
Always have
carries,
at least one.
most 80 carries have under 10 pink wards purchased on the split in North America.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Even I buy more words than that.
I mean, they place wards, just pinks, not particularly.
I've seen Sneaky sell his boots to buy a pink ward, so that is commitment.
I remember when Krepa was here last year, he
So
yelled at 80
now that I
carries not
say
selling
that,
Norns
I
for
remember
you.
looking at the stat. Now that I say that, I'm not 100% sure. So I will check after this game or have someone check for me during the game and confirm that stat. Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
If it's right, then I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not
What
sorry.
kind of Canadian are you?
All right, Jack.
Sorry.
Well, Team Impulse not feeling sorry about this one, though. They bet in the mid game, and it's actually going quite well for them here. Gate still feeling solid on Pool Party Lulu in the mid lane here. Roles get swapped around, though. Bottom lane outer turret's already dead, so let's go send the Wrecking Ball of Apollo to the top side here. Trinity Force plus some attack speed.
Yeah, it's not just him either. They're sending backup in the form of Rush, just in case. Every time this bottom lane pushes out, Rush comes through for a lane gank as well.
He's again going for Rylays. It's a Giant Spell plus an Amp Tome.
Yeah, it's that strategy of I bring so much power that we're not afraid of a counter gank. Yes, we don't have a defensive support. We have a low mobility AD carry, but we send so much and front load the power up to the top lane here. They're just going to bully off.
That's a
Dignitas.
Meganar. Nice
Oh,
job.
he's going to get 2 men stunned. Shenalty popped in. Here we go. It's a 4 versus 3 right now. Slow only lands on the KiWiKiD. Rush has aggro still.
He can't
Rush is
transform.
going to die for this one. Gate, okay, he's fine. He got a summon or heal. Apollo does everything for this team.
The cooldown is still substantial on his transformation there. Can't come out of spider form and go right back into it to repel.
This is such a tanky Team Impulse team. The Shen, the Leona Armored Magic Resist, the shields they can get from Gate, the Cinder Hulk Elise that has an early Giant Spell. They just manhandle, brute force that. That was not clean by any sense. They got 3-man Gnar ulted, they ate most of the Nidalee Spears, and they get a kill.
YOLO, you can't do enough damage to us. Quarterfinal's the wrong side, and Shiphtur is just small. He's on a pretty much 0-stack Rod of Ages. Now Impact just gonna, is he taking damage? I don't think he's taking damage. CoreJJ gonna flash the wall. Make sure he goes like far enough down that he can't miss it.
Yeah, to add insult to injury, CoreJJ sitting on 1,700 gold, so definitely not strong enough to fight the level 11 Shen.
Yeah. PS would have helped some, but now Gate actually putting some damage on Shiphtur.
Impact just brings so much map control to this team.
Yeah.
Constantly swapping back and forth between the side lanes. And Gamsu has had a really difficult time keeping up. Second guessing his teleports.
Yeah.
Not the best communication. Impact not hesitating though, instantly ulting up to top side and teleporting back down bottom to
Second
catch
time he's
the
done
wave.
that. Yeah. Second time he's done that. It's why top laner Shen still does bring teleport. Just the map mobility matters that much. So solid stuff by the Impulse lineup. Impact's just fine playing a supportive role. Letting someone else deal the damage, and it's working out here. Looking very solid into game 2. Rush even picking up Sightstone. Playing a more vision-focused game. Playing a Center Hulk champion and doing well on it.
Yeah, he builds up this huge health pool really early. With the Cinder Hulk and going straight into a bunch of health items, that just looks really intimidating. Sometimes even if you don't have the resistances to back up your health, having that many little bars on your health bar dissuades people from focusing you, just because they think it won't be worth their time, even if they can cut through low resistances.
All right, so what's next on the plate for Team Impulse? They've already knocked down all 3 outer turrets by 18 minutes. They're only sitting on 1 dragon. They've got quite a ways to go if they want to keep this lead pushing up. 5,000 lead, 18 minutes in, definitely sizable. But they've really only got 1 late game carry here, and that can always be a risk as you go on.
Yeah, still at this point in the game, though, Lulu is a significant portion
Absolutely.
of damage. Because she's just maxing out her Q. Does have,
Oh, Shiphtur down quite low, gets away
So gonna be the
cleanly. Turret does go down, but there's still some damage coming across. Javelin lands. There's the engage bunch onto Apollo. He goes down. They pick up the primary AD carry, and Adrian now playing with defensive CC, but a double kill for CoreJJ.
Yeah, Gate was not there
get
in
Rush
order
as well?
to shield.
Uh-oh, he loses move speed, transferring into human form here.
Nice shot!
And that's going to hit him too. Helios from downtown lands the Javelin. Good setup for Gamsu. Now Impact is on the
He's
right side of this
surrounded.
fight.
This is very similar to the turnaround we saw in game 1. Team Impulse growing a lead, but then Team Dignitas making a play on Team Impulse overextension. Still a lead, though, for Impulse because of how far ahead they were.
3 kills picked up for a tier 2 turret, though. Doesn't feel too bad. Maybe can pick something else up.
Yeah, I mean, watching this one, Gate just so far away from home. Look where he is on the minimap before this fight begins. So yeah, they get the Shen ult, but because they burst him hard enough, the Shen doesn't come into this fight to disrupt anything, and their damage sources are completely gone. Kog'Maw dead, their secondary damage source, Lulu, not there, and Shen can't make it, so a total whitewash there for Team Dignitas.
Kog'Maw without a support champion next to him. Easy pickings there for Team Dignitas. Quick recovery from Impulse, though, because they have such a substantial lead. Plus, they still have 2 of their outer turrets remaining, and it's enough for them to grab the second dragon here, which is important to keep them training dragons this game. When you don't have the Azir late game damage to rely upon, definitely need to keep up the dragon stacking in case you do have to go that late. The other thing, you talk about how tanky this Impulse squad is, it's also a side effect of them keeping the AD carry of the opposing squad down so much. Low damage output exacerbates that issue.
Double kill helps a fair bit for JJ, though.
Yeah,
getting
he's
the
only
Infinity
500
Edge
gold
this
down.
early, yeah.
He's only 500 gold down behind Apollo. Sorry to cut you off, Chad, but certainly KiWiKiD can be a threat. Maybe, actually, I feel like you're unlikely to see Zeke's on KiWiKiD, but maybe he goes for that after what looks like Aegis as his first major purchase.
It will be late. Same for Adrian, though. Maybe we see it on gate. Is a mid lane item as Alex.
Alex ran it 3 games in a row in the Challenger Series semifinal.
As shown.
A solid choice.
You know, on Lulu, actually, being a sports champion herself anyway, would make a decent amount of sense.
Yeah, any low cooldown mage is going to get stacked really, really fast. She cares about the raw IP, cares about 10% CDR. I don't know. There's a chance we see it. But
The more we talk about it, the more I want it.
I know.
Gate,
it's
do it.
really good. I think it's super strong, actually.
I think it would be perfect here.
Yeah, it's an interesting choice as a mid laner because as a support item, you get the attack damage and ability power boost on yourself and then Link, but that's really just for your Link. But if you do it on a mid laner who already has a lot of AP, you're almost doubling the active power of that item, which is why it's actually a really cool thing to do on the more supportive mid laners like Orianna and Lulu.
I mean, Lulu just seems like the perfect one. All right. Anyways, in the bottom lane, Gamsu doing work on the turret.
And he's almost going to knock it down here. He's actually was solidly winning lane in this matchup last game as well. It didn't matter because Impulse had so many kills and turrets and whatnot. But Gamsu, again, actually getting a lot of pressure in the matchup. 4 men top lane here. TP is not up for Gamsu, but Impact has the ulti.
Yep, and there's that Thao with Apollo on the front lines with this Kog'Maw trying to chunk down the turret. He's got Lulu, shield, and ultimate to rely upon. Shen also can be called down. So sitting on the front lines. And Adrian would be the counter engage.
4,000 gold lead for Team Impulse. Bottom and outer about to go down, though this gold lead going to start to get shredded away a little bit, and there's still an outer turret in the mid lane waiting for Team Dignitas so they can get a decent fight in. So the gold can get closer pretty soon. Dragon 5 would not happen until about 39 minutes in this game if they did it on time. That's of course very far away, and that gives plenty of time for this Kassadin and Nidalee to stack up their recently minted Rods of Ages.
Yeah. Once again, Team Impulse in a bit of a lull, but they've already killed 4 turrets. So therefore, they have to be very strategic about the way they move in now. They got to get wards down, seemingly, if they go to invade the enemy jungler to set up for the next plays. Last game as well, Team Impulse tried to do a lot of Baron forces. It somewhat backfired on them. But this game, they have much more initiation, so I think baiting a Baron could very well be a strategy if they get some more pink ward and ward sweeping coverage.
Yeah. Again, I still think they're really going to focus on dragons. It's so much easier for them to take those and stack them. Plus, it's a lot easier for them to bait around that area and keep Impact split pushing. As of right now, Dignitas doing a good job of keeping up that vision on Baron.
Yeah, Impulse, dear lord. Press F2, look at the Impulse vision. It's ridiculous. They have like the entire map lit up across the midline. This is ludicrous. What happened to Impulse?
Freak
I've
mind
never
blown
seen these
right
many
now.
wards. I think this is like as many as they bought for the entire season. Like,
well, that's definitely...
Yeah, that's
slight
definitely
hyperbole.
not true. But in a single game, it would be interesting to check. We'll have to get the numbers on that, for sure, at least per minute. The ward pacing, 2 upgraded trinkets in their soul lanes and 2 sight stones on their jungler and support. So really maximizing how many wards people are doing. Definitely 4 people on in this game capable of hitting ward cap the entire time, just based on their items.
And I think Apollo's going to do the same route. He has not gone blue trinket because he's Kog'Maw. You might as well just press R instead. This is one of those champions you can just go for a warding totem, and they could overkill on wards. Only 2 sweepers though. Mid lane under fire. KiWiKiD able to get away safely. The problem is there's no ranged stuns that aren't Rush's Cocoon. So picking people off requires a pretty big commitment.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's Impulse that are feeling the pressure right now, though. It's true. Dignitas trying to figure out what they can do with this team comp. Yes, they have this Nidalee here, but she's really the only one that wants to poke. And they're really heavily relying on a game-changing ult from Gnar. They need Gamsu to actually win them this fight by getting not only Apollo, but Gate in the same Gnar ultimate. That would delay the ultimate from Gate and give them an opening to try and burst him down, you know, cast it in to get in there. But they have a lot fewer tools, Team Dignitas, this time around.
Gamsu's been doing a lot of work in the split push game. Now, as you mentioned, the team fight's happening and the Dragon coming up. It's time for him to roam down. He does a nice job just zipping down there.
Impulse are actually just waiting for Dig to start this up. They've got the Shen ultimate ready. They can just engage them in the pit.
There's the Shen ulti in. Can they make this fight happen? Rush wants into this one. 2,000 health on Baron. Dragon, sorry, and the fight begins. Two-man Glacial Fissure.
Nice kiting by Team Dignitas thus far.
Adrian loses a lot of health down to 1K. Does have Solar Flare still.
Gnar ulti,
yeah, Mega Gnar down.
Mega Gnar running out though, so yes, they were able to use a really good Braum Lucian combo there.
Rush gets Scuttle. Now they've got the Kog'Maw poke. We'll see if they can dodge Nidalee. Helios actually low on mana. They've just leveled up. He's got no mana regen because his Rod of Age is not a tier.
Yeah, I didn't really like that Shen ultimate on Rush either there for the initiation, but it's not going to matter here for Impulse. They've got mid lane pushing as well with Gate shoving it.
Yeah, I wonder if they just...
Rush gonna stick around at
They
Dragon.
go to both. They make Dignitas respond. The flash stun, they catch Helios! There's the ulti, what a beautiful pickoff! Apollo gets the kill! Into the back line goes Shiphtur, but there's not enough damage coming through. He survives with the face, the mountain shield. Another catch on to Gamsu, down to half HP. Rush still around, looking for a bit more. Two-man Gnar ulti buys some time, but Dignitas forced to run away. They lose 2 kills. That is a Dragon or something for Impulse.
I think
they're going straight for Baron.
Yeah, straight for Baron. That initiation was just so cool from Team Impulse. Flash Cocoon into their second range stun on their team, the Leona ult, and just chaining it straight onto Helios. Once that happened, the fight was mostly decided. Great play by Apollo as well to focus damage on.
They are going to lose out on the Dragon here, maybe though, because Gamsu was able to use his teleport to get down here. They will interrupt the Dragon training, but Baron buff is going to be such a big tool for them to push down some of these secondary turrets. Impulse trying to actually catch this wave in the top lane.
I think they get it.
Without even having to go back. They do have teleport still on impact.
Yeah, I mean, they saw Core and Gamsu take down the Dragon right there. They know these guys will not be here in time. Home guards are not. So, turret number 5 for Impulse.
Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit more about Elise. And people have been discussing, you know, what exactly made her so strong. You know, and of course, in the last patch, she got a whole bunch of different little buffs.
Yep.
But one of the biggest things to me that I realized when I started picking her back up again is one of the previous buffs that she got several patches ago, where the speed, missile speed on her Cocoon was increased from 1450 to 1600. You cannot dodge that unless you're really quick on your flash or you're scripting or something. So the flash and Cocoon here from Rush, as long as you have good aim, it's extremely difficult to dodge those Cocoons now. With that missile speed buff still remaining, plus the addition of all the extra damage buffs that she's recently gotten, and the duration increasing, that initiation there was beautiful from Impulse. Rush and Adrian combining.
And nicely done, Impulse, the mid lane, the mid game power, almost 7,000 gold ahead here. Baron buff on. They should be getting at least one more turret here. It'd be surprising to not see more. Got enough shields to give to the Kog'Maw. Leona may not be able to keep people alive that well, but Face the Mountain helps certainly a little bit. Plus the Age is probably going towards Locket. Provides actually about as much health as the Janna would.
And Team Impulse hitting a pretty powerful point right now. Void Staff obviously on Gate as well. They're going to be trying to seed this up. This is one of the hardest turrets to defend. One hit on that turret, the shields are gone. Also, it opens up for some pretty dangerous flanks. If Rush wanted to go in that way, he can also buddy up with Impact. With that being said, Dignitas are not even trying to defend that turret.
No reason to try here. Inhibitor turret's much more likely to be defended. Gonna set their defense up. How much damage can they do? Apollo actually going for the enemy champions, but
mean, they didn't even have Cast in there at the start. They're getting the whole thing right now, and the fight!
And it's gone, and there's the stun, and there's the engage. KiWiKiD buys a bit of time, jumps away, actually will survive for now. And there's a Gnar ulti, they catch Apollo. Is the burst enough? He's trying to get away. Lulu ulti catches herself, actually, not the AD carry, but there's still some follow through. One kill traded on both sides. Shiphtur gets out, CoreJJ does not. And a Glitterlance long range picks up the second kill of the battle. Inhibitor is open, Inhibitor's there.
Wow. In that fight, Adrian stunned Shiphtur after the ultimate and before he could get off his Force Pulse to follow up the Gnar ultimate. He was on that, knowing what was going to be coming in. Team Impulse with 2 dead on the enemy side are really looking to push this one for a fast win.
Going to be an Inhibitor and now a Nexus turret going down. They're staying in the 4 versus 3. They're missing Rush, but they don't seem to care. The engage on a KiWiKiD, but no! Apollo gets the Rampage, but the kill still goes back to the other support. Gate dies for this one, and an over-aggression maybe? Only Helios left alive, 1 versus 2. There's minions here, but there's so many respawning. Apollo's going to die for this one, and Tech's going to be next. And yes, an overdive by Impulse. They should get this kill. Can he dash over the wall? It dashes up now.
Yep.
Gets away from the slow. But he doesn't run as fast as these guys. They've got move blocks too.
Run away from the brush.
Oh, the slow's in.
Yeah, he's gonna get the speed boost too.
Yeah, Mercury Tread's reducing the duration of the slow.
He can.
Another
no
wall!
speed boost there.
Dashes up. He can get over this one. He's fine. All right. All things said and done, a 4 for 4, I believe. But many turrets picked up the Inhibitor as well. Impulse, of course, far in the lead.
Base completely broken. Apollo builds from a pickaxe to an Infinity Edge after that fight.
Love it.
So he got a little bit stronger. Based on the results of this one. Yeah, I mean, this was just Team Dignitas being out of position at the very start. Castian was hoping for a flank, but no one was there to defend the turret. And here's the interesting thing. Gamsu was hoping for an Gnarl, actually gets a pretty good one. And watch the follow-up. Shiphtur goes in, and Adrian's like, what you gonna do? Instant stun. Gives Apollo time to flash away and delays enough for the Lulu ult to come in.
That was even the exact Gnar ultimate that I was looking for, onto both Gate and Apollo. But the damage wasn't there to immediately follow up, and Gate was able to get his ultimate off on Apollo, then the Shen ultimate off was on Lulu, so nobody was really in danger there. It's just too little too late for Team Dignitas. That was even with a lot of stun stacking, a lot of crowd control stacking them from Impulse, as the Cocoon and Taunt and Leona all hit at the exact same time on KiWiKiD, the least ideal target.
What?
And they still came out ahead.
Well, Apollo gets to run fast.
Oh, Shiphtur! Taking so much damage trying to run away, but the chase is back on. Shen ulti comes in, gets a stun onto Gamsu. It's a pretty tanky Gnar. Top flash comes in, doesn't catch much though. Tags Helios. But it doesn't matter, it's a summoner spell down. But keep in mind, bottom lane Inhibitor is dead, there's minions flooding in, and mid lane itself can now be pressured.
Paul's diving a little bit hard right there. See if they can get in to defend, to push this Inhibitor, but I feel like they're far enough away from base and invested so much in that they're probably just gonna go prep the objectives.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon's up in 30 seconds, so clear some of this blue side and head on over there. Inhibitor will still be down. Super minions will march into the base and keep Team Dignitas occupied.
All right, so no big rush in this game for Team Impulse. They could have gone really greedy, look for the mid lane. They choose to, as you say, play for the objectives, play for things that are a bit more secure. Dragon 3 on the field of 6 seconds. A couple of recalls come through to buy their last few items, but this might be the attempt at a game-winning push now for Team Impulse. Red respawns. They just stole the blue away. Look at the red now as well. And now Dragon's up.
Yep. Take Dragon, then take Baron after that as well. Pretty easy pickings for Team Impulse. By that time, Shen Ultimate will also be available. So, barring a very big snafu from Impulse, looks like they are looking to make this a 2-0 start to the best of 5.
It's been a much better game for Team Impulse than game 1. They jumped out to a larger early lead. They picked a less defensive team composition. They also had a solid pick there at the end for Gage.
Yeah.
Knowing exactly what Shiphtur is going to be trying to do with Casten. They're exposed it for the lane weaknesses, and they're also really punishing Team Dignitas for their somewhat lack of damage.
It was actually something the analyst desk was looking for as well coming into this game. They wanted a more aggressive support to work with the Elise pick.
Yeah.
And that's
And it worked.
exactly what Impulse did. And then they switched the defensive duties over to the mid lane.
All right, well, here's the push right now. They want Baron Nashor. Can they find the pick, though? KiWiKiD does get taunted up. They just pile the damage into the support. He flashes, jumps away, stays alive. And actually, the support will live, all said and done. The re-engage, a bit of slow from Gamsu.
Yeah.
Dignitas just stopped the Baron.
There's one thing Team Dignitas has done well this game. It has been kiting at the front end of team fights, but it's the re-engage that seems to be crushing them again and again. Rush with some flank position. Here's a re-engage.
And Core JJ slowed down by Chilling Smite, slowed down by Rylays, can't get away. A solo kill for Rush. That could be the game-winning pick. Out goes Shiphtur, slowed down, runs away, Rift walks as well. So that's gonna leave open space for Baron Nashor. No teleport for Gamsu, no AD carry, no mid laner. It's theirs.
Yeah, so a nice job of Team Impulse not really committing to the Baron, knowing they had a lead, and peeling off the communication, which has been one of the Achilles heels for Team Impulse. Most of the split seems to be pretty clean with Gate in the lineup in these few games. Now that they've had the 2 weeks of prep time with him for scrims. It's looking pretty solid for Team Impulse here.
Even his individual performance
Has improved.
Yeah.
That was also one of the things we were looking for coming into this matchup, though. Shiphtur, one of the least punishing mid laners to play against, if not the least punishing. Always, aside from a few games, having a negative CS differential at 10 minutes. It was definitely the case in this game, with Gate having an advantage over Shiphtur.
We did see Dignitas changing their style up a little bit, though. I said, okay, well, Shiphtur, you played a hold the line default mid laner, just fighter guy and playing Victor. Now let's go for Cassie, go for the heavy roamer, go for the big plays.
Yeah.
Go for a skirmishing bottom lane as well, so they can really scrap and find some picks. That unfortunately did not work here for Team Dignitas, but now the battle will resume. No Lulu yet in this fight. The battle begins. Rush knocked around a fair bit. Adrian also taking a bit of damage, but still there's plenty of durable tanks to buy some time. Gate has joined the fight. Ulti knocks up a few, and one kill already comes through. The kill goes for Adrian. Now one for Apollo as well. The chase down continuing as Shiphtur. Also going to drop a double kill for the Kog'Maw. 3 picked up. Into the base they go. This should be the game for Team Impulse.
All right, that started off as a 2v5.
Yes, it
and
did.
they were unpunished. They kill 3, lose none. They're refreshing this inhibitor. They're probably taking 2, and like you said, probably taking a 2-0 lead in the series.
All right, 37 minutes and 30 seconds. A bit faster than the last time around, but it's a much more convincing win, all said and done. 16-9 in kills. The Nexus will fall. 2-0 start for Team Impulse. They are 1 game away from the semifinals.
Close to having 2-3-0 back-to-back playoff openings here for both the EU and North America.
Yeah. If you're going to have 3-0s, today would be the day, though. It's Seed 3 versus Seed 6. It's a bit to be expected as far as the lineups are concerned, the matchups are concerned.
And if you're looking at a team you do not want to play in the first round of the playoffs, it would be Team Impulse. They were basically a game away from being first place in the NA LCS and having a bye. There was that huge logjam at the top of the standings. And unfortunately for Team Dignitas, this was their draw as the number 6 seed for Team Impulse. But they still have 1 game. They almost won game 1. This could be a completely different story with a few things breaking the other way and would be 1-1 heading into the rest of this best of 5.
Absolutely.
But it's 2-0, and now they have to win 3 in a row to stay alive.
Yeah, I mean, they have to pull out something different now. They have to go swing for the fences because this is the last chance that they have.
Yeah.
They were able to get their victory over Team Impulse with Gamsu on Heckroom, smashing and just taking over, carrying the game. He can also do that on Jarvan. Maybe they throw him on some AD top lane pick that's going to be able to take over, and they focus a lot of resources to try and get him ahead. Or maybe they go with one of those double teleport team compositions that they've also been able to use.
Well, you actually saw Impulse ban Twisted Fate in this game specifically, actually. But you're right, Gamsu's actually been winning lane. Early game leads have been going back and forth, but Gamsu's been consistently ending up ahead of Impact. So if he can get one of those matches where he can take over the game by himself, then you're right, that might be good for Team Dignitas. We'll see if they can do that and change gears over in game 3. But for now, going to send it over to the NLCS to break down Team Impulse 2-0 start.
Thank you, gentlemen. That game was a little bit more one-sided, I feel. We saw a much greater lead earlier in the game for Impulse. There was a couple falters. Dignitas almost clawed their way back into it at one point. But I feel some of those, that early lead came from some of the adjustments we saw Tip make in Champion Select.
Yeah, I love the Leona, the aggressive support paired with the Elise. I said, if you're going to pick the Elise, like I didn't want to see it again, but if I was going to see it again, I'd want to see it with that aggressive support. So I like that adaptation. But the thing I really liked about TIP's play was it was a slower game, or not a slower game, but it was still a slow game for TIP's style, but they recognized that the wave clear of Dignitas' comp is pretty much non-existent. The Kassadin pretty much takes that out of the question. So every time they actually took an inhibitor and pushed the base, it was because they had gotten the Baron and they set up for it. Because they recognized it's just a skirmish comp on Dig's side. TIP has Protect the Cog. Go ahead and play around these objectives and then exploit the no wave clear.
Going into this next game, I got quite a few concerns about Dignitas. First off, the blind Kassadin. This is not a champion that you blind pick ever. This is a counter pick champion. I guess they were thinking Gate would just pick Azir or Victor, but, pick Lulu. He gets shoved in all day. He will lose the tower first, has a lot of pressure, and then Kassadin jumps into a fight. Polymorph, he's already out of the game. So, did not like that pick at all. Another concern was, they first, the Gnar into Shen. This is a matchup that Gnar has to win.
Right, and you're seeing Dignitas on your screen here as you raise some of the concerns for them. Down now, 0-2, they're looking for that reverse sweep. What do you do when you have, because you have to win this one, right? Essentially, in your heads, this is a one-game series now. It's Dignitas, you have to win this next game.
You got to win 3 in a row now. And it's clear that the Gnar versus Shen, this is a matchup where Gnar builds Black Cleaver and then just bullies Shen, takes the tower first, takes the second tower, and just pressures Shen heavily, punishes him for using the teleports in the bot lane. That did not happen. Not at all. They took the first tower down, but that's because of a Kassadin roam. Like, there was no pressure from the Gnar into Shen. He should be having a CS lead. They cannot play against Shen. They're making these plays in the bottom lane when they know there's teleport, there's Shen ultimate, and they're just completely disregarding it. You need to ban it because otherwise you're going to lose the next
Drop
game.
the Maokai ban, put the Shen right in that spot. But here's the scary thing, is this is not a normal TIP. They're warding a little bit more than they were in the regular season. They're playing around Apollo constantly. So even if you ban out this strategy, they can still go back to what they were doing before. So that's actually very scary because you've only got one game left. And if you mess it up one more time, you're out.
Sivir has been left up as well, so they can go back to that. But Dig had gone with the Braum Lucian, super aggressive bot lane. But there is no synergy there. You need the jungler in the bot side to be able to go for it. They got caught from a very overextended gank, which is super predictable, knowing Elise starts in the top side. She just makes her casual way down to the bot lane and gets a free kill, and then it just goes over and over and over. And Italy should be there. That's the most important lane for you right now, where you're putting all your eggs into, okay, we're hoping this Lucian can, snowball over the cog. Didn't happen at all.
Yeah, and when you play Nidalee, a gank could just be, I show up to the lane, it's now a 3-on-3, and I just poke you guys down and eventually take the turret. And they never did that.
Yeah, there's an interesting thing here where, as you mentioned, Tip is assuming a different playstyle than what is expected. Going into this week, you would have been like, oh, okay, well, they're going to try and get rushed on a super carry. Apollo will play Sivir, most likely, if it's up, and they've completely departed from that. And it seems to be throwing Dignitas for a little bit of a loop here, that they haven't really established what is going to be the winning strategy against this team that is all of a sudden playing a little bit more standard.
And it's not just something that's actually going to throw Dignitas off. If TIP make it further, they are actually showing that they flex more strategies. So Dignitas have to go, all right, let's go back to our strategy here. It's do or die. We have to run what we know how to run. You were talking about running a Hecarim top on the caster desk, I believe, and going to a strategy where Gamsu can carry, shut down the Shen, ban it, get him out of that lane, and get him affecting the map.
You got to remember, though, that Tip has been picking the Kog and Shen pretty early. Those two are flex picks all over. You can have the Kog'Maw in the mid lane, the Shen as a support, so they can just completely change it around. And one pick that has been not played at all has been the Olaf. Like, everybody's been practicing Olaf. Everyone's going crazy for the Olaf top. Hasn't been played. Not sure why. It does well versus Shen, does well versus Maokai, it does well versus Gnar, good versus Elise, Leona, and all this kind of stuff. And if we need Gamsu to carry, I'd like to see him go to that pick. Yeah,
Kobe also mentioned up there on the desk, although it was banned in this most recent game, the TF option for Dignitas. If you are looking at, the effectiveness of the Shen, which is that he can TP twice, essentially, to a lane, and how Impact is able to out-pressure Gamsu in that arena. If you can find another global, if you can get Shiphtur onto that other global, let him affect the other lanes, that might be, you know, an area of attack. So given that we go back to blue for Tip and Dignitas on red, Tip didn't ban the TF in the first game. That might be available to them this time around.
I think that for Dig to win this third game, they really need to just look for the first game and what happened in this one. The second game, they misplayed the lanes. They didn't account for rush, just flat out lose lane, have poor picks, and then you can't really come back if you have no wave clear to stall the game out. So the first game, they did a much different thing. You know, you go for more late game scaling, you got a lot of team fighting potential, and you have really good pick potential with the Echo Stun, with the Alistar as well. So why not go back to that? Like, you're gonna have to do it and just go for a lane swap again. I think the lane swap was really a good thing for them, because what happens is when you create the lane swaps in there, you create usually 2 long lanes, and then everybody can shop and has an influx of wards from the gold, which allows for a lot more safe play. So if you have lane bullies after the lane swap is over, then it becomes very predictable where the junglers are going to go, and you can just maneuver your way around without really worrying about rush ganking your lane.
Dignitas has a lot to consider going into Game 3 here. Team Impulse are just 1 game away from closing out the series and securing their spot in the semifinals. We'll be right back with Game 3 in just a few minutes.
Time for Dignitas to see if they can fire back. Best of 5. Still some damage coming across. Javelin lands. There's the engage. Bunch onto Apollo. He goes down. They pick up the primary AD carry. The flash stun, they catch Helios. There's the ulti. What a beautiful pickoff. Apollo gets the kill.
Okay. Cast in. It's okay. I'm with you.
We're fine.
Yeah, I'm with you.
They might go me.
They're going to cast in. Bye, with you.
Gate has joined the fight. Ulti knocks up a few, and 1 kill already comes through. The kill goes for Adrian. Now 1 for Apollo as well. The chase down continuing as Shiphtur. They are 1 game away from the semifinals.
Some of his resurgence. And would we see Apollo's first Leona this split? It was one of his big-time supports in the spring. Yeah, these teams want to go in.
So yeah, different look. You're right. He's back on Leona, the champion he almost exclusively played back in spring. So okay, not an Enchantress support this time around. Then not going to be opening up the Kog'Maw nearly as much. And also a comp like this doesn't look like an AP Cog type composition. Going in this hard feels weird.
Yeah, it's almost certainly an AD Kog'Maw in my opinion. And they could just slot in Azir if they want to with their last pick. Or an Orianna. Either one of those works.
Yeah. We do get a lot of kill pressure, though, switching to the Leona rather than going with the Janna. So I actually would expect more out of Rush this time around on the Elise. There's a lot more opportunities for him. He can go bottom lane, combo with the Leona. He can still go top lane. Shen can set up a guaranteed cocoon to land. And even though Shen doesn't provide a whole bunch of early game damage, Elise brings plenty herself.
Lulu,
wow. Okay, so they shift the support role up to Gate for the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, it's a little Juggernaut-y, but it also has a tank top laner. So traditionally you'd put the Lulu in the top lane. This one, though, is a little bit lower damage. It's almost like a mid-game power spiking composition right here.
Yeah.
And heavily putting the pressure, onto Apollo in this game.
Well, that's weird, though, because Impulse actually stalled out in the mid-game last time off of a sizable lead. They were up around 2,000 to 3,000 gold in the 20-ish minute mark when they got the first blood, and then failed to get much farther. Impact doesn't even wait to lock in the Shen. So going to go for that one yet again. Of course, Impulse can take their time to pick their jungler here, so if something else is contested, like the Shen, like this Kog'Maw, they could be playing the exact same team comp.
They're well on their way to do so, yeah.
Frigg, I think you mentioned it after last game to me. Apollo on Kog'Maw did more physical damage than Core J did, than anyone else in the game, but it's more physical damage than Triss did, and Kog'Maw does a lot of magic damage within his kit as well. It just went to show how punishing Apollo was in that game on Kog'Maw, so it makes sense that they're locking it in early.
Zeke's Harbinger boosts the AP from your Trinity Force also, so
extra value. You get 6 ability power.
Duper strong.
Now you do 8.06% of your max health.
Broken freak.
It's not even the right number. It's like 6.06, but you know what I'm going for. All right, well, as we get ourselves further onto this one through picks and bans, Yeah, Impulse not showing any new looks yet. Of course, they can use KoG as a flex pick the whole way through. Gate, I assume, can play AP KoG, so I wouldn't expect to see another pseudo mid lane or AD carry grab just yet. Dignitas changing the lineup quite a bit, though, and Braum Lucian comes through.
Wow, what an interesting combo here. They do have some poke from Nidalee and anti-poke now with Braum as well. Maybe they want to try and go fight the siege with siege.
The old school LeBron lane.
Yeah, Lucian Braum also, the combo not often seen, but it does have that very quick stun proc.
Yeah, a lot of innate synergy in that lane. Even though Lucian's early game has been nerfed, Braum's early game has recently been buffed back up. That's one of the reasons we've seen, along with the poke.
Elise, do we expect some, pick-wise, what are we looking at?
I don't want to see the Elise again.
Don't want to see Elise.
Not on Rush. I wasn't convinced by it.
Well, the strength of the champion is early tower dives, because you can drop the aggro and harass from afar, but they pick compositions that have no tower dive potential at all. So, like Janet KoG, really not much gank pressure.
Yeah, if they're going to go with like a really aggressive support, then I'd like to see it.
Exactly.
Right, well, we did see the target bans, the Nidalee and the Lee Sin come through. That leaves the Elise, but still the Evelynn too. So we didn't see Evelynn in that game. Maybe that'll come out. And then you mentioned, Zyrene, the Tristana. So let's one quick look over there on Dignitas. You know, are they just not utilizing that pick well enough? Or are they going with something else this time around?
Yeah, I feel like they weren't utilizing it that game. They have the chance to once again go back to the drawing board, use it correctly next time. But if they don't, then I still just want to see a different pick there. Maybe a Sivir so they can start those team fights.
All right, looking for some sharper execution this time around. As we send it over to our casters for the call, CLG's Aframu weighs in on this matchup and says Team Dignitas may be able to pull off a few surprises.
In the season, they would run Jarvan top with Morgana, something along those lines where you just one-shot the backline. You know, that was their whole strategy, get their top laner fed, cam for him, etc. And usually they just do that with one champion and revolve it around safe picks in all the other lanes. So they could definitely pull out some cheese against Tip, especially because Tip doesn't have their original mid laner anymore. So they can't really play off of Gate, I wouldn't think, since he doesn't have that much experience in a full best of 5. You know, maybe it'll be some falter from them here and there.
Oh yeah, it's going to be really fun to watch for in a best of 5, especially if we get all 5, all the different things that teams end up trying.
He's got to have more confidence.
The 2015 World Championship is quickly approaching, so study up on the international scene with lolesports.com. There you'll find player and team profiles, stats, and VODs from all of the major regions available for your viewing pleasure. All right, now we're going to kick it off round 2 between Team Dignitas and Impulse. You're getting a look at Impulse here as they prep for this second game. With that one game buffer, though, gentlemen, how do we expect this to affect the way Impulse approaches game 2?
I think they're going to come out and they're going to be much bloodier in this one, going for fight instead of siege, because when you have that one game buffer, you come back with confidence, and if you crush them game 2 with your own style, then the series is practically over at that point.
A common thing that happens when you see those teams reconverge and just talk to each other, okay, what are we doing in the next game? Like, how are they playing? Usually you ask each other, it's like, okay, how's your mid lane matchup going? How's he playing? And then usually be like, you know, he's playing a bit like a bitch. Like, how are we going to do? Like, are we going to do well this time? Do we need to play more aggressive? And then, like, I think that's what's going to happen, because I think both these teams were disappointed how they played, and they're going to go a lot more aggressive this time around.
What are the conversations like then on the losing side of it, right? So we got, you know, the winning side, you're coming in with a lot of confidence. Dignitas, though, coming out with the loss, a lot of times the fear is the defeatist mentality.
I don't think they're feeling that way, because that last fight they lost, they were the ones initiating that. So it wasn't them on the back foot by any means. They were in the control of the game after the Baron, and then eventually they started losing.
Okay. What about you? Do you think
I wouldn't let it chip away at me. I feel like that's one where it's like we could have just picked that a little better.
Right.
Let's not overreach next time. I don't think it's going to hurt them too much.
You mentioned the Tristana. We also talked about
After that play.
Yeah.
You know, game-winning play like that, he's going to feel great headed into game number 2. The other one that I think you can take away from that first game is Helios played a lot better than I thought that he was going to do, especially with Rek'Sai banned. He had a lot bigger impact than I was expecting from him.
All right, well, then people showing up in the quarterfinals hadn't seen these teams in 2 weeks, and you know, a lot of players played a lot better than we expected. Here we go, back into the game once again. No Maokai allowed for impact. Once again, no Kalista for Core JJ. It seems like Impulse trying to make sure their dual lane can get out of the laning phase happy and scaling up.
No surprise here either. The Lee Sin and Nidalee bans worked out pretty well last time. Looks like they will target Rush once again.
Well, the only thing is I wonder if they need to burn a ban on Nidalee. It depends how infatuated they were by Rush's Elise, because Helios could always just first pick that away.
Yeah, as of right now, though, you know, Sivir and Alistar both find themselves still available, and that could be fairly scary.
All right, well, there's Alistar gone. Sivir, of course, could be available if you want to play a team fight comp.
You know, the strange thing is, Sivir fell completely through picks and bans last game.
Yep.
True. Doesn't mean that it's not a really important tool for them to use, though.
Yeah, I think you
They-
don't ban
they
away
have
these
to
things,
pick
take
this.
something else away.
They have to pick this, otherwise I feel like Rush.
Yeah, takes it and wins the game with it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Now the question is it Elise or Evelyn? Because he had the, I believe, the option of either and chose Elise
Yeah, he
first
did.
pick last time. And if he decides that one's better,